Hey guys, Christo Garcia, my swing evolution. I am out here today working on my plane and weight shift. And I've been having some interesting conversations with some of the top players I know lately about lateral weight shift. And the conversation is how much or is there any lateral weight shift in the golf swing? And for me, I'm a believer in a lateral weight shift, but a lot of the top players today are reducing that and more in favor of a purely rotational type of swing. And I would say that Snead was as open at impact as Hogan was, but didn't have as much of a lateral shift. But Mike Austin taught that you want to shift as far laterally as possible. That's where the power is in the golf swing. So I think it's a combination of rotation and lateral. But that's what I'm working on today. And check out this breakdown. I'm going to talk about Ben Hogan's lateral shift in the golf swing.
Hey guys, Christo Garcia, My Swing Evolution. I'm so excited to get into this little breakdown of Mr. Hogan's downswing where we're going to take a very close look at his weight shift. And I'm excited to say that we're 1 week away from the Tampa MSC Intensive, where I will be going over the entire My Swing Evolution golf system. Yeah, so if you want to hit me up, Christo at myswingevolution.com, I can get you registered. But check this out. So look at Mr. Hogan's downswing. What a beautiful position he's in here. If you notice, he has his weight in his right heel, and he's going to transfer his weight to his left side. What a powerful move. His move is so powerful, in fact, with his lower body that he's throwing the cloth of his pant legs towards the target. That's something that I think is really remarkable, but it really goes to show you how hard he's moving with his lower body. Here we really see that lower body driving towards the target. Let's watch this one more time. Boom. Yeah, one of the fastest hip rotations in the game. But the reason why I'm looking at this video today is because I've had a couple friends of mine that are pros telling me that the weight shift in the golf swing is kind of passé, that everything's more rotational now. And there's even been some conversation of, whether the guys back in the day really had a weight shift. And I don't think they would have talked so much about it if they didn't believe they were doing it. But what I believe we can see here is really clearly that Mr. Hogan has a weight shift. I mean, I'm sure you guys can see that, but in a moment I'm going to draw a line and really, really drill down on this. But here's a great face-on view that's going to be helpful to us. Now we see that Mr. Hogan braces and gets into that right side, and he's going to move off the ball. And he has kind of, I've called it a waterfall move. He just kind of flows and falls to his lead leg. And he said that the downswing begins with the left hip because he's a right-hander. And I think that, Jack Nicklaus said that it starts from the ground up, with the planting of the left heel. But I think that Mr. Hogan, was describing feeling his pelvis move towards the target, which clearly it looks like he is moving his pelvis towards the target. And you can see that there is a lot of hip extension here as he drives through the ball. And I think that this was, one of his swings where he's being a little bit more accurate. There's swings where he really, really goes for it. So I had a really good question at the last intensive about sliding versus shifting your weight. Okay, and for me, sliding is when your upper body is going along with your lower body and you slide into the hit and really get your head out of position from where it was at the beginning of your swing. Now, in this swing, Mr. Hogan is set very far behind the ball, but we're going to see something pretty interesting in this swing, that when he actually makes his move back down to the ball, he's actually going to move forward of where his head was at address. So here he is basically still in the box where he set up when he took the club back. But watch this. You know, some people might call that a slide, but I'm not going to tell Mr. Hogan he's doing something incorrectly. You can see that his head has dropped a few inches, certainly, but he is ahead of where he was when he set up at address. And this is something that when you look at a lot of pro golfers, they're going to have a little bit of this as well. But the question is really about the degree. Now, what we do see is Mr. Hogan's hips are far ahead of his head, which gives him spine tilt to the rear. That's what we want to have. When you're sliding, you lose that spine tilt and you lose your impact angle. So Mr. Hogan has such a lateral shift that he still has a great angle to his spine, even though his head has moved forward of the box just a little bit. But let me put a line here and a point on his left hip. So that's the point where he is about to start his backswing. So let's see what happens. He actually loads into his right side and moves off of that spot. What are we looking at, about 2 inches or so? Now we'll see him at the top of the backswing. He actually starts to move to his left before he reaches his maximum turn. So right here, he's essentially back to where he started his swing. But let's see what happens to his hips. Yeah, we can clearly see that he has moved laterally a ton in this golf swing. I mean, to me, there's no question about it. I mean, look at this. Look how far ahead of where his left hip was at the beginning of the backswing Mr. Hogan is. He's almost past that point with his entire lower body. So I've got another great swing. This is one where he's really going for it. Now, I wanted to show this swing because I find it interesting that he's doing his rehearsal swing. Notice the bush behind Mr. Hogan off his left hip. He's doing this slow motion swing to show, you know, this is one of his famous practice moves here that he would like to do. But you can see that this is very rotational. I mean, it's lacking that dynamism of a full swing, but that bush in the back is completely in view. It's hard to recreate the dynamics of a full swing in slow motion, obviously. But you're going to find when he does his full swing that there is a big move. Now, this looks to me like he is really going to smash this golf ball. He's like putting on a little show here. Yeah, he gets all the way through that. So here I have my dot set up on his left hip, and we're going to see what happens here on this swing where he really goes for it. I also find it interesting that that dot on the outside of his left hip is also lined up with the inside of his left heel. And you'll notice that he's got the ball a couple inches inside his left heel. He said he liked to play the ball off the left heel. The stance is extra wide. And I think these guys actually hit the driver in the Persimmon Balata days with a slightly descending blow. That's a guess. I don't have the TrackMan data on that. But considering where the ball position is, I'm pretty sure he's not going to be catching it on the upswing. Let's look at this backswing. He's already moved a ton off the ball. And now he gets set, and we're going to see his little waterfall move where he's going to flow right to his left side. Here he is back to where he started at address. Now we're going to watch that he's going to move laterally a ton. And I'm going to pause at this next impact frame. Yeah, he is way out in front of where his left hip was. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know how you can argue that there's not a weight shift in the golf swing. I mean, even if he had his feet together, you know, I mean, Mike Austin talks about it. He's like, that is the main power generator in the golf swing. So for my money, I'm saying that you want to have a weight shift to your lead leg. Now, Mr. Hogan and Sam Snead, you know, Snead had a little less of a move to his left side, but they were both maximum rotation. There's no question about that. But that being said, you know, Mr. Hogan he had a combination of tremendous lateral force and rotational force exhibited in his golf swing. And here we can clearly see that he has moved his center of gravity in front of where his left hip was at the beginning of the swing. So I hope this little tutorial helps you, and if you'd like to learn more about the classic golf swing, you can go to myswingevolution.com and check out my latest video, which is the MSE Golf Swing System. I'm very proud of it. It's all the most important things that I used, over 2 hours long, how I rebuilt my golf swing. And right here, you can see that these principles are timeless. So I hope you hit them long and hit them straight.
Hello and welcome to the My Swing Evolution Golf System. My name is Christo Garcia, the founder of My Swing Evolution. After millions of golfers watched me rebuild my golf swing on YouTube, I wanted to create this system to pass along the most important lessons that I learned along my journey. When I finally decided to rebuild my golf swing, I found it really confusing because of the amount of information that's out there on the web, in the magazines, and on TV. But I was able to figure out a common sense approach to rebuild my golf swing. It worked for me, it works for my students, and I'm convinced it'll work for you as well. So let's get started.